Welcome to our podcast channel. Today we will be discussing the topic self-love, the power of forgiveness, and letting go of the past to grow.
Yeah, and this is a real deep dive into some truly transformative concepts. We're not just talking about the usual motivational fluff here.
Right.
These are specific, almost, well, radical definitions
Yeah.
that can genuinely shift how you look at your life, how you move forward. We're going to unpack some pretty surprising insights.
Exactly. Surprising insights about what it really means to value yourself, and how to actually process the past you carry.
Yeah.
So for you, the listener, our mission today is really to cut through all that noise and give you clear, actionable knowledge on these ideas, starting with maybe the most fundamental one, knowing your own worth. Okay, so let's unpack this concept of self-love first, because, well, the way we're looking at it here is the definition most of us use. It's maybe completely wrong, or at least pretty superficial.
Yeah, what's really fascinating is the sharp line drawn between your internal inherent value and all those superficial external things.
Right.
The core message is that true self-love. It's totally independent of anything outside of you. It doesn't rely on the outside world at all.
And that's a massive shift, isn't it? Because we're constantly told our value goes up if we, get famous or make more money or have nicer things.
Exactly. Like looks or cars or job titles. All those status symbols people think somehow increase self-love. But this view says no, that's not it.
It has nothing to do with them.
Precisely. Think about it. If you tie your self-worth to those external factors, you're basically hitching your emotional well-being to something really volatile, like the stock market, right?
Yeah.
What happens when those things inevitably change or disappear? The job is lost, the status fades, the relationship ends.
Your sense of self just plummets.
Right, because it was built on something conditional, something outside yourself.
That difference between internal stability and external volatility feels really key here. The idea being, if you're feeling empty inside, chasing more external stuff isn't actually going to fix the core problem.
Absolutely not. The crux of it, according to this perspective, is that self-love is fundamentally a matter of knowing your value, your inherent value.
Okay.
It means understanding deep down, I love me, independent of whether you love me.
Wow.
And recognizing, I know my self-worth. I am here, and I have a purpose. And that purpose isn't defined by your achievements. It's just by your existence, your presence.
I think the most powerful real-world thing about that, it's the courage it gives you. The courage to actually step away from situations or people that drain you, to say, you know what? I don't have to be around this negativity or in these kinds of environments just to feel okay about myself.
Yes, it's about self-reliance for your own self-worth.
Right.
And it also highlights the difference between self-love and, say, self-care. Self-care might be taking a bath or buying a nice shirt, external actions.
Which are good, but different.
Totally different. Self-love is the internal bedrock, is knowing you deserve peace, dignity, respect, regardless of whether you succeeded or failed at something today. And when you define your worth internally like that, you actually have the strength to demand better treatment from the world around you, or walk away when you don't get it.
Okay, so once that foundation is this internal, unwavering sense of worth, we need a way to clear the path forward, right? To deal with the baggage.
Exactly.
And that brings us to forgiveness.
Yeah, if self-love is the foundation, forgiveness is like the tool that clears away all the clutter and debris so you can actually build something new on that foundation.
Okay.
But the definition of forgiveness we're working with here, honestly, it's a real aha moment for a lot of people. It seriously challenges the usual way we think about it.
It definitely pushes back against that common idea that forgiving means like saying what happened was okay, or that you have to let the person who hurt you back into your life.
Right. And that is absolutely not what this is saying. The distinction is so important. Forgiving is accepting that the event happened to you. It occurred. It's history.
But it's not accepting that it was okay for it to happen.
Precisely. It's acknowledging the reality of the past without endorsing the action itself. You're saying, okay, this injury happened, and then crucially asking, so what am I going to do about it now that it's in the past?
And the core definition here, the one that really makes you stop and think, is that forgiveness is defined as giving up the hope that the past could be any different.
That phrase is powerful, isn't it? Giving up the hope.
Yeah.
Just think about the sheer amount of energy it takes to hold on to that hope. You spend so much psychological and emotional bandwidth holding on, hoping, wishing that it could have been any other way than it actually was.
You're basically fighting against history.
You are. It's that constant mental replay loop, right? If only I hadn't said that. If only they'd done something different. If only I'd made another choice.
You keep yourself chained to a version of reality that only exists in your head in regret or fantasy.
And if we connect this back to the bigger picture, holding on to those grudges, refusing to forgive, it essentially means you're keeping yourself hostage. Hostage to a past you literally cannot change.
Well,
Shifting your perspective this way helps you move past all that psychological, emotional destruction that comes from refusing to forgive. I mean, the idea here is that someone who can't forgive anything is just constantly trying to rewind and edit history, which is impossible. It's exhausting.
and the scope of this forgiveness needs to be really broad, doesn't it? It's not just about forgiving that one person.
Not at all. We often focus on forgiving others, but the list here is comprehensive. It suggests you need to forgive your parents. Forgive failed relationships, the ones that didn't work out. Forgive basically everyone else who ever hurt you in any significant way.
Okay.
And then, maybe the hardest part, you have to forgive yourself.
Yeah, that's tough.
It really is. Most of us are way harder on ourselves than anyone else. So you have to extend that same acceptance that, okay, it happened, it wasn't right, but I accept that it's over now, to your own past actions and mistakes.
And that letting go, that's how the past stops controlling you, stops being a prison.
Exactly. It allows that internal self-love we talked about to actually breathe and grow.
Okay, so this makes sense. Define self-love internally. Accept the past through this specific kind of forgiveness. But then how do we physically move forward? How do we actually build the future we want instead of getting stuck?
Right. And this is where it gets really interesting, talking about the cyclical nature of life and the power of your own will.
Cyclical nature.
Yeah, the essential shift in perspective is understanding that life moves in cycles. That idea that whatever experience you're having right now, good or bad, it has come to pass, not to stay.
It's temporary.
It's temporary. It's just a phase you're moving through.
And the biggest challenge for, well, probably all of us, is keeping that perspective when we're right in the middle of it.
Totally. When you're in the thick of difficulty or even great success, we tend to think this is permanent. This pain or this pleasure will last forever.
Yeah, you forget it's a cycle.
And that assumption, that lack of perspective, is often what keeps the negative cycles repeating. Because we don't prepare for the inevitable shift. So the material really stresses that you have to be willing to consciously break from the patterns of the past if you want to create that different future you desire. It takes courage, sure, but more than that, it takes informed will, conscious choice.
And that takes specific action, right? Not just sitting back and hoping things change.
Definitely not passive.
Yeah.
You have to actively honor the past as it actually was, the good, the bad, the ugly, the mistakes. Forgive who needs forgiving, including yourself. Acknowledge that, like it or not, everything led you to this exact point now. Every single thing.
Okay, accepting the whole journey.
Yes. And that acceptance becomes the launching pad. Once you truly acknowledge the history, then you can harness your will to say, okay, I'm letting that go now, and I'm going to focus on developing myself, on building what's next.
That's the shift from being a victim of circumstances to being an active agent.
Precisely. You move from being a passive recipient of whatever life throws at you to actively shaping your future.
So what here is really about clarity and taking control. It stops mattering so much what happened to you and starts being about what you're going to do about it starting right now.
Exactly. If your goal is personal growth or professional success or just, a healthier, happier life, you have to be willing at times to go against the tide.
Against current patterns.
Against your own historical patterns, against maybe what others expect. It means using that internal self-love as your anchor so you can recognize when an old, unhelpful cycle is starting up again.
Okay.
Then using forgiveness to emotionally cut the cord to the past version of that cycle. And then actively using your will to choose a different path, step onto new ground. It's definitely hard work, no question.
Yeah, sounds like it. But essential for actually growing, not just repeating.
Essential.
Okay, but moving forward isn't just about internal stuff like will and forgiveness, is it? It's also about actively reinventing yourself in the present moment.
Right.
And that process apparently starts with some pretty meticulous self-evaluation, even like writing down a detailed description of the person you want to become.
Yeah, and part of that self-assessment requires some, ruthless honesty.
Yeah.
Which is a huge stumbling block for most of us, let's be real. You need to really pinpoint the things you have to overcome. Identify those qualities in your personality that are acting as liabilities, the things genuinely holding you back, and accept that they need to change.
And also look at the good stuff, right?
Right, yeah.
Your assets and strengths.
Absolutely. It's a full inventory. Strengths and weaknesses, liabilities and assets.
But here's the tricky part, I think. Our own inventory, our self-assessment, it's almost always flawed, isn't it? We have these huge blind spots.
Massive blind spots.
Mhm.
We tend to filter our own behavior through the lens of our good intentions, even when the outcome wasn't great.
I didn't mean for it to come across that way.
Exactly. And that's where the outside world, or at least certain people in it, become crucial.
Mm-hmm.
We need some objective feedback. We need, as Material calls them, trusted critics.
Trusted critics. Okay, that sounds great.
It can be.
Mhm.
And this raises a really important question. Why is that kind of critical feedback, the uncomfortable kind, so essential for real growth?
Yeah, why?
Because the critic, the trusted critic, tells us what we need to hear, not just what we want to hear.
Ah.
Most of us naturally resist negative feedback, right?
Yeah.
We take it personally when someone points out a flaw or where we're falling short, because deep down, we just want validation. We want to hear positive things about ourselves.
That resistance is so natural,
Yeah,
but it can be fatal to actually changing and growing.
totally fatal. If you only surround yourself with people who tell you how amazing you are all the time, you just stay stuck. You keep repeating the same patterns, the same cycles we just talked about.
Mm.
That critical voice forces you to actually look at those liabilities you might have written down, the ones you perhaps minimized or glossed over in your own assessment.
Right, it holds you accountable.
Exactly. And there's this really powerful anecdote mentioned about having a friend who acts as that trusted critic. The description is perfect. I don't like him, but I love him.
Huh. Yeah, I can imagine that feeling.
You don't like the feeling of being challenged or having your flaws pointed out, obviously, but you love the person who cares enough about you to provide that difficult service.
Because they're risking the friendship, in a way.
They are. It hurts when that person puts you on the hot seat, when they deliver uncomfortable truths. But that's often the only way genuine development happens. That friend or mentor or coach is doing you an incredible service because they're prioritizing your long-term growth over your short-term comfort.
That kind of truth is essential if you're serious about reinventing yourself, about breaking those cycles.
Absolutely essential. And notice how that willingness to accept potentially painful feedback loops right back to the beginning to self-love.
How so?
Well, if your self-love is truly internal, secure, rooted in your inherent worth and purpose, then receiving criticism doesn't destroy you.
Ah, right. It doesn't define you.
Exactly. It's just information. It's data. It's a tool you can use for modification and growth, not a judgment on your fundamental value as a person.
Okay, so we've covered quite a bit how that deep self-love is completely independent of external stuff, how forgiveness really means accepting the past happened and letting go of the hope it could be different without saying it was okay.
Right.
And then how real growth requires actively breaking from those past cycles and maybe counterintuitively finding those trusted critics who push you even when it's uncomfortable. It's quite a path.
It is. It's challenging, for sure, but it's a cohesive path forward.
Yeah.
So maybe the final provocative thought for you, the listener, to kind of mull over is this. If forgiveness really is about giving up the hope that the past could be different,
Okay.
what hope are you still clinging on to today? Maybe hoping a person will change, or a situation will magically fix itself, or an environment will become something it isn't. What hope are you holding on to that's actually preventing you from defining and stepping into the future you want?
That's all for today's topic. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel to stay updated with the latest news.